I think Monday, March 16th, on The Young and the Restless, is going to be a wild ride for Diane Jenkins Abbott. From what I can tell, she's about to hit the roof once she realizes Patty Williams has Jack Abbott right where she wants him. On the yacht, Patty is taking full advantage of a drugged and completely vulnerable Jack. I mean, his mind is so clouded that he's about to betray Diane, literally right as she's racing onto the yacht. I didn't realize just how far Patty would go, but it seems she's ready to push all the buttons. Thanks to some solid detective work by Billy Abbott and a little help from a bribed office manager, the Abbotts are going to catch wind of Patty's involvement in this yacht drama. Diane, Billy, and Kyle are all heading out on a rented boat, which to me sounds like the perfect setup for Diane to storm in and find her husband. I can just picture Diane racing down the corridor, calling out Jack's name, and finally reaching the door to his room. Yeah, she'll probably start pounding on it, expecting Jack to answer. But I have a feeling that door might be unlocked, and that's when she's going to see it for herself. Seeing Jack in bed with Patty, Diane is going to be absolutely appalled. I think she'll immediately demand answers, and while she'll quickly realize Jack is drugged, most of her anger will be aimed squarely at Patty. Honestly, I wouldn't blame her. The old rivalry between these two women is about to explode, and I can already imagine the fierce face-off. Patty's choice to team up with Victor Newman, drug Jack, and go after him will definitely backfire if Diane has anything to say about it. As for Jack, I think once the drug starts wearing off, he's going to be horrified at what's happened. He may not go all the way with Patty, but he'll cross a line that leaves Diane hurt and questioning the state of their marriage. Meanwhile, Billy and Kyle are eventually going to get the scoop too. But I have a feeling Patty might slip away from this mess unscathed, at least for now. Still, with Victor pulling the strings, the Abbott family is in for another major crisis. I'm just sitting here wondering, how far will Patty go, and what's Diane going to do next? If you ask me, Monday's episode is shaping up to be a total bombshell. I think this episode of The Young and the Restless felt like one of those turning points where several characters finally reach emotional breaking points. Watching the story unfold, I kept wondering whether these moments are really about redemption or the beginning of something even darker. 3 storylines really stood out to me: Kane confronting his mistakes, Victor and Nikki's marriage cracking under pressure, and Jack unknowingly walking straight into Patty's trap. Kane finally faces the truth about Lily. To me, Kane's scenes felt surprisingly vulnerable. When he walks into Phyllis's empty office, you can see he's clearly struggling with what he's become. At first, he tries to write her a note, almost like he's forcing himself to play the game again, asking her to go easy on him while he works on Daniel. But then he reads the note back and crumples it up. That moment really struck me. I didn't realize how deeply Kane still resents everything that happened with Arabesque and the power games around him. He even admits to himself that begging Phyllis feels humiliating after everything she's taken from him. After a drink, he records a video message for Lily. And honestly, that scene felt like the most honest version of Kane we've seen in a long time. He admits he was foolish for believing he could control the AI situation or trust the people around him. Losing Arabesque didn't fix anything. It just pushed Lily further away. The way he talks about her smile and their kids makes it clear he still loves her deeply. But here's the painful part. Kane convinces himself that the best thing he can do for Lily is stay away from her. Maybe I'm wrong, but that feels less like a solution and more like the beginning of a tragic separation. When he finally screams in frustration and walks out into the dark office, it almost feels like a man realizing he's lost everything. Victor and Nikki reach a breaking point. At the Newman Ranch, things between Victor and Nikki look worse than ever. Nikki has clearly been trying to reach him for hours, and when he finally walks through the door, the tension is immediate. I was honestly shocked by how cold Victor was in this moment. When Nikki demands to know where Jack is, Victor basically dismisses her concern entirely. He tells her Jack is fine and acts like the whole situation barely matters. But Nikki sees right through him. When Victor admits that putting Jack on ice was a small price to pay to get everything back, it sounds like a confession. Even if he refuses to fully explain himself, what really stood out to me is Nikki's reaction. She says she may not be able to forgive him this time. For a couple that has survived decades of chaos, betrayal, and revenge, that statement feels huge. Victor brushes it off and walks away. But I can't help thinking this could be one of the biggest cracks we've seen in their marriage. Jack walks straight into Patty's trap. Meanwhile, Jack's storyline might be the most disturbing part of the episode. Billy, Kyle, and Diane are desperately trying to track him down at the marina. Diane especially looks completely shaken. She says she can feel Jack is close, which makes the situation feel even more urgent. Billy eventually bribes the marina manager and gets a lead. A yacht was rented by a woman described as a real looker. When he reveals the name Patty Williams, everyone in the car is stunned. Honestly, I had the same reaction. For longtime viewers, Patty is one of the most unpredictable characters in the show's history. If she's involved, nothing about this situation is going to be simple. Jack's situation on the yacht. Out on the yacht, Jack finally begins to realize how strange his situation is. Patty gives him a tour and casually explains that they're so far offshore he can't even see land. There's no visible crew and no working communication systems. She even jokes that they might be the last people on Earth. Jack starts asking the obvious questions. How did she get there, and who put them on this boat? Patty reveals that a mysterious man brought her to the yacht and told her he would return in a few days. That detail immediately raises alarms. Jack starts wondering if he's trapped on some kind of floating prison, or worse. But Patty sees things very differently. She insists she's there to help him heal, almost like she believes this bizarre isolation is some kind of therapy. And that's what makes the whole situation so unsettling. Jack points out that whoever set this up could easily abandon both of them out there. But Patty doesn't seem worried at all. In her mind, this entire experience is meant to fix him. My final thoughts. Looking at all three storylines together, I feel like this episode is building towards something explosive. Kane seems ready to remove himself from Lily's life completely, which could change their relationship forever. Victor's ruthless decisions might finally push Nikki past her limit. And Jack, well, Jack might be in more danger than he realizes, especially with Patty's unstable sense of reality. I could be wrong, but it feels like someone orchestrated this entire yacht situation very carefully. And if Victor really is behind it, the fallout could shake several families in Genoa City. One thing is certain: the emotional and psychological stakes are rising fast, and I have a feeling the consequences of today's choices are going to echo through the next several episodes. I was watching this sequence, and I couldn't help thinking about how strange and unsettling the whole situation felt from the very beginning. Patty walks in with this bold, almost reckless energy and tells Jack they're going to break down those walls, and that he's going to love it. To me, it immediately felt like she was trying to force a kind of intimacy that Jack clearly wasn't ready for. She tells him his attitude is breaking her heart, and even asks what happened to his famous, sexy smile. I remember thinking that she was almost nostalgic for a version of him that simply isn't present in this moment. When Jack touches her face, he does tell her she's beautiful, maybe more beautiful than ever, but he quickly makes it clear that his first priority is getting off that boat. That line really stood out to me. It shows where his head actually is: survival, escape, and control. Patty, on the other hand, reads the situation completely differently. She insists he's been working himself too hard, and that he needs to let himself be reckless again. In her mind, this forced isolation together is almost romantic, but Jack pushes back. He reminds her he's not there by choice. To me, that's a critical moment, because Patty twists even that. She says that's what makes it more delicious. Meanwhile, Jack sees it as dangerous and makes it clear he doesn't appreciate the situation at all. What I found fascinating is how Patty seems determined to squeeze every bit of pleasure out of this bizarre circumstance. She insists that by the time the night is over, Jack will feel the same way she does. Then something even stranger starts happening. Both of them suddenly feel overheated, dizzy, and disoriented. Jack begins to worry that they've been infected or exposed to something. They can barely stand. The atmosphere shifts from uncomfortable to genuinely suspicious. Patty seems euphoric. She puts music on, sways around the room, and tries to create this dreamy mood. Jack, still trying to stay grounded, hands her water. She starts sucking on ice cubes, clearly trying to cool down. When she reaches for him and tries to undress him, Jack pulls away. That hesitation says a lot. He removes his tie, stares at her, and you can almost see the confusion building in his mind. Patty keeps urging him to let everything go and let her in. Jack's response is simple but firm. She needs to go back to her room. But Patty won't accept that. She reminds him they have 2 full days to fill and keeps swaying closer to him, trying to pull him into her rhythm. Eventually, she manages to get him down onto the bed and promises him the most incredible sensation he's ever experienced. And honestly, watching this unfold, I kept thinking Jack looked more disturbed than tempted. He even says he doesn't know how he can look at her, let alone feel attracted to her. That's when he starts wondering out loud if he's been drugged. Patty quickly denies it, but Jack knows something is wrong. His instincts are screaming that this isn't natural. Patty, meanwhile, frames everything as some cosmic adventure. She tells him he needs to explore, to feel alive, that they owe it to the universe. That line really shows how far apart their mindsets are. Jack finally draws a hard boundary. He tells her he's married and she needs to stop. Patty's answer? Diane will never know. And then, in that chaotic, disorienting moment, they end up kissing as she climbs on top of him. At the same time, somewhere else, the rescue plan is coming together. Adam tells Nick they'll find Matt and deal with him however they see fit once they arrange a meeting. Then Nikki reveals something shocking. She explains that Jack is being held on a yacht in the middle of Lake Michigan. Everyone is stunned, but Nikki adds another twist. Jack isn't alone. There's a woman with him. And right as the tension peaks, Diane races down the hallway toward the room where Jack and Patty are tangled together, shouting his name. Jack! Are you in there? And at that moment, I remember thinking the collision that's about to happen is going to be explosive. I was watching the preview for The Young and the Restless for the week of March 16 to 20, and honestly, the whole situation left me thinking things are about to spiral in a big way. From what I can see in the promo, Traci Abbott is about to receive some news that completely shakes her. And the more I think about it, the more it feels like one of those moments where everything in Genoa City starts colliding at once. The preview opens with Adam Newman talking to Nick Newman, and Adam seems absolutely convinced they're finally going to take Matt Clark down. I get the sense that Adam has been quietly building this plan for a while. He sounds confident, almost too confident, telling Nick that once they arrange a meeting, Nick can handle Matt however he wants. Nick, on the other hand, doesn't look nearly as patient. To me, he seems ready to end this whole threat immediately. He's clearly tired of the danger Matt represents, and it feels like he just wants this nightmare finished once and for all. But Adam still has another step in mind. He needs to speak with Riza Thompson first, which means Nick is probably going to be stuck waiting a little longer than he'd like. And if there's one thing Nick doesn't do well in these situations, it's wait. While all that tension is building on the Vegas side of the story, something else is happening back in Genoa City that might be even more shocking. Nikki Newman apparently gets some crucial information from Victor Newman. After putting the pieces together, she goes straight to Traci Abbott with the news. Traci has already been deeply worried about Jack Abbott being missing, so when Nikki finally tells her what Victor hinted at, the reaction is immediate. Jack isn't just missing, he's being held on a yacht in the middle of Lake Michigan. When I heard that detail, I immediately thought this situation has become far more dangerous than anyone expected. But Nikki isn't done yet. She drops another bombshell that leaves Traci even more stunned. Victor apparently suggested that Jack isn't alone out there. There's a woman with him. At this point, Nikki admits she doesn't know who the mystery woman is yet, but she clearly has a bad feeling about the whole situation. And honestly, I think she's right to worry, because viewers already know something the characters don't. The woman with Jack is Patty Williams, and if that name alone doesn't make things unsettling, the rest of the preview definitely does. Jack is apparently being drugged as part of Victor's larger plan, which is already disturbing enough. But things take an even more uncomfortable turn when Diane Jenkins Abbott starts getting suspicious. It looks like Diane is getting closer and closer to discovering where Jack actually is. In the preview, we see a moment that made me pause. Patty and Jack are in bed together, right as Diane approaches the door. Diane starts pounding on it, clearly trying to find out if Jack is inside. The tension in that scene is intense, and I couldn't help wondering what's about to happen next. If Diane barges in, and it definitely looks like she might, she could walk straight into a situation that will completely horrify her. And honestly, I'm not sure anyone in that moment is prepared for the fallout that's coming. To me, this whole storyline feels like it's building toward a massive confrontation. Nick and Adam are setting their trap for Matt. Traci is reeling from shocking news about Jack, and Diane might be seconds away from witnessing something she'll never be able to forget. I think The Young and the Restless might be setting up a major shakeup for one of its strongest couples. For a while now, it felt like Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson had finally reached a stable, healthy place in their relationship. To me, their dynamic recently has been one of the most balanced and hopeful storylines on the show. They've been rebuilding trust, supporting each other, and focusing on their family with Connor Newman. It even started to feel like a remarriage might be coming. But now, I'm wondering if the writers are about to turn everything upside down. Chelsea's fear, rocking the boat. From my perspective, Chelsea's hesitation about marriage hasn't really been about doubting Adam. Instead, it feels like she's afraid of losing the happiness they finally found. She's in such a good place with Adam that the idea of changing anything, even something positive like a wedding, makes her nervous. Chelsea knows how fragile happiness can be in Genoa City. So while the relationship seemed to be slowly heading toward another wedding, there was always this quiet fear underneath it. And now, that fear might be about to come true. The big turning point appears to involve Adam helping Nick Newman confront Matt Clark in Las Vegas. And this is where things get complicated. To deal with the situation, Adam may have to revisit the period when he was living under the identity of Spider. That version of Adam came from a time when he had amnesia and was living as a completely different person. If I'm being honest, this storyline feels ominous. Reconnecting with people from that era, including Reza Thompson, could drag Adam back into a darker mindset. Chelsea is terrified of that possibility. Nick and Chelsea share the same fear. What's interesting is that Chelsea isn't the only one worried. Nick also seems uneasy about Adam returning to Las Vegas and reopening that chapter of his life. Both of them clearly sense that something could go very wrong. And in soap opera storytelling, when multiple characters express the same fear, it usually means the writers are preparing the audience for that fear to actually happen. Maybe I'm wrong, but it really feels like the show is foreshadowing a major turning point for Adam. Could Adam become Spider again? Here's the big question. Is Adam about to regress into a darker version of himself? Years ago, the Spider identity almost functioned like a psychological escape. Adam buried parts of himself he didn't want to face. The guilt, the mistakes, the damage he caused. But revisiting that identity might unlock something dangerous. If that happens, the consequences could be huge. Not just for Adam, but for the life he built with Chelsea and Connor, a family on the edge right now. Adam keeps reassuring Chelsea that everything will be fine. But in soap operas, reassurance right before a risky mission rarely ends well. This Vegas trip could easily become the catalyst that changes everything. I think the real question isn't just whether Adam can handle the situation with Matt Clark. It's whether reopening that chapter of his past will slowly pull him away from the man Chelsea fell in love with. If that happens, their relationship and the stable family they created with Connor could completely fall apart. My prediction, and I could be wrong, the Vegas storyline might temporarily push Adam back toward his darker instincts. That tension could seriously test his relationship with Chelsea and delay or completely derail the remarriage storyline. And honestly, that kind of emotional conflict is exactly the kind of drama The Young and the Restless loves to explore. I've been thinking a lot about where this storyline might be heading on The Young and the Restless, and honestly, It feels like Victor Newman may have pushed Jack Abbott past the point of forgiveness. After everything that just happened with the abduction chaos, I can't imagine Jack simply letting this go. Being used as leverage in someone else's twisted scheme is bad enough, but the way Victor dragged Patty Williams back into their lives, that makes the whole situation even worse. To me, Patty has always been one of those characters who brings pure unpredictability. Once she's back in the picture, things rarely calm down quickly. And I was wondering if this might be exactly what makes Jack snap and decide that Victor finally needs to face real consequences. And then there's the whole drugging situation. Victor orchestrating a setup that led to Diane Jenkins Abbott finding Jack in bed with Patty. That's the kind of manipulation that could destroy a marriage. I might be wrong, but it feels like Victor didn't just target Jack personally. He went after Jack's entire life. For someone like Jack, who has fought so hard to rebuild his relationship with Diane, that kind of betrayal could ignite a serious revenge mission. Here's where things start to get interesting. I keep wondering if Jack might realize he can't take Victor down alone. Victor Newman has too many resources, too many connections, and too much power in Genoa City. So if Jack wants revenge, he might need a partner. And one possibility that keeps crossing my mind is Tucker McCall. Now I know, Jack and Tucker have a complicated history. Their feud over Abbott family issues and Tucker's past romantic pursuit of Ashley Abbott created plenty of bad blood between them. But sometimes in soap operas, the most powerful alliances are formed between people who don't actually trust each other. It becomes a simple equation. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Victor already made Tucker an enemy when he teamed up with Audra Charles to steal Glissade away from him. That move alone gave Tucker every reason to want revenge on the Newman patriarch. And if Tucker is finally free after that mysterious prison situation in India during the whole Aristotle Dumas mess, then the timing could be perfect. I can easily imagine Tucker returning to Genoa City with unfinished business, and Jack might be exactly the ally he needs. Another thought I had is that Tucker might not agree to help Jack without asking for something in return. And that something could involve Ashley Abbott. Tucker has always had complicated feelings for Ashley. Even after everything that happened between them, it never really felt like that chapter was completely closed. So I was wondering if Tucker might try to strike a deal, help Jack take down Victor, and in return, Jack helps open the door for Tucker to reconnect with Ashley. It would be a risky agreement, especially considering how protective Jack is of his sister. But if Jack's anger toward Victor is strong enough, maybe he'd be willing to consider it. Victor Newman may have created his own worst enemies. At the end of the day, I think Victor might be underestimating just how dangerous Jack Abbott can become when he's pushed too far. Victor has always thrived on power plays and psychological games, but sometimes those moves create alliances that would never have existed otherwise. And if Jack and Tucker really do decide to work together, Victor Newman might suddenly find himself facing two enemies who are both determined to bring him down. Maybe I'm wrong, but the more I think about it, the more it feels like Victor may have started a war he won't be able to control. And if Jack's revenge truly begins, I have a feeling the fallout in Genoa City could be massive. I've been thinking about the way the worlds of the young and the restless and beyond the gates have slowly started colliding. To me, it feels like the writers are deliberately opening the door for bigger crossovers. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if one very chaotic Genoa City resident ends up walking into Fairmont Crest sooner rather than later. The character I keep coming back to is Phyllis Summers, played by Michelle Stafford. I might be wrong, but the recent social media moment she shared made me wonder if something more could be brewing behind the scenes. That Instagram video that got fans talking recently, Michelle Stafford posted a playful Instagram video with Daphne Duplay, who plays Nicole Dupree Richardson. The two actresses were lip-syncing a humorous clip about champagne and caviar, acting completely goofy together. Watching it, I couldn't help thinking how natural their chemistry looked. It didn't feel like two actors who had just met. It looked more like two characters who could easily stir up trouble in the same storyline. Stafford even captioned the post calling Duplay her sister from another mister and her new best friend, adding that it was a collaboration between Beyond the Gates and The Young and the Restless. Then Duplay jumped into the comments and wrote something that really caught my attention. The BTG and YNR crossover begins. Now, maybe that was just playful teasing, but with soaps, those little hints sometimes end up becoming real storylines. Fans already see the drama potential. From what I've seen, fans immediately started imagining what a crossover between Phyllis and Nicole might look like. And honestly, I get it. If Phyllis ever showed up in Fairmont Crest, Nicole might want to keep her guard up. Phyllis has never exactly been known for being the most trustworthy person in the room. I mean, she's brilliant, manipulative when she needs to be, and always several moves ahead of everyone else. Putting someone like that into Nicole's orbit could create the kind of drama soap writers dream about. Crossovers are already happening. What makes this idea feel even more possible is the fact that crossovers between these shows are already happening. Back in August 2025, Devon Hamilton Winters traveled to Fairmont Crest to offer a music contract to Anita Dupree. Not long after that, Ridge Forrester, played by Thorsten Kaye from The Bold and the Beautiful, also appeared on Beyond the Gates. And the crossover momentum isn't slowing down. CBS has already confirmed that several major Genoa City figures, including Victor Newman, Nikki Newman, Jack Abbott, Diane Jenkins, Kyle Abbott, Abby Newman Abbott Chancellor, and Devon, will appear in a multi-episode storyline on Beyond the Gates in June. So when I look at that lineup, I can't help wondering, if all these characters are making the trip to Fairmont Crest, why not Phyllis too? My take on a possible Phyllis crossover. Personally, I think a Phyllis appearance would make perfect sense. She's exactly the kind of unpredictable character who could walk into a completely different soap world and instantly shake things up. Imagine her forming alliances, stirring rivalries, or uncovering secrets in Fairmont Crest. That kind of storyline practically writes itself. Of course, there's still no official confirmation that Phyllis will cross over. But between the Instagram teasing and CBS clearly enjoying these soap universes colliding, I wouldn't rule it out. And honestly, I'm curious to see what would happen if Phyllis Summers met Nicole face-to-face, because if that ever happens, I have a feeling the drama would be immediate. I've been thinking a lot about where things might be heading on The Young and the Restless, especially when it comes to Victor Newman and his relentless quest to reclaim Newman Enterprises. To me, it feels like Victor may very well succeed in getting the company back, but I can't help wondering if the cost could end up being far greater than he expects. At first glance, Victor's latest scheme seems like classic Newman strategy, calculated, ruthless, and focused entirely on the endgame. But the more I look at the situation, the more I feel like this time might be different. The kidnapping situation is a perfect example. When the news about Lily Winters being kidnapped first surfaced, it turned out to be a fake-out. But Jack Abbott being held hostage? That's very real, and the fallout from that decision could be massive. What really caught my attention was Nikki Newman's reaction. She was absolutely furious when she learned what Victor had done, especially since he kept the entire situation secret from her. I can't help but wonder if this might be the moment when Nikki finally reaches her breaking point. Their marriage has survived a lot over the years, but Victor crossing a line like this, again, might be too much even for Nikki to forgive. Then there's Adam Newman. Adam has had a complicated relationship with his father, but he actually considers Jack a friend. I find myself wondering how Adam will react when he learns exactly what Jack went through. If Adam feels Victor has gone too far, that could create another serious fracture within the Newman family. And the ripple effects don't stop there. Abby Winters is caught right in the middle of this situation. On one hand, Victor is her father. On the other, Jack is essentially her uncle through family ties. I can't imagine that learning her father kidnapped someone so close to the family will sit well with her. Summer Newman is another person whose reaction could be significant. She has always shared a strong bond with Jack, and he's also the grandfather of her son, Harrison Abbott. Because of that connection, I'm not sure Summer will be able to simply overlook what Victor has done. When I think about the Abbott children, Johnny Abbott and Katie Abbott, it makes the situation even more complicated. These kids have already grown up around the never-ending Abbott-Newman feud, but this latest move might push things to a whole new level. Watching their father Billy Abbott struggle with the fear and stress of Jack being held hostage could leave a lasting impact on them. And then there's Phyllis Summers. Phyllis has made it very clear she doesn't want to hand Newman Enterprises back to Victor. But if she eventually gives in, and Patty Williams returns to Genoa City as part of Victor's plan, I can't imagine Phyllis staying quiet about it. Patty has a long and dangerous history with the people in town, and bringing her back into the mix feels like lighting a fuse. Summer would have reason to be especially angry about that. Years ago, Patty triggered a severe allergic reaction in her when she was just a child. That kind of trauma isn't something people forget easily. Another person I keep thinking about is Traci Abbott. Traci is one of the most compassionate people in Genoa City, and she's often been surprisingly gracious toward Victor despite his ongoing feud with her family. But even she might struggle to forgive this. After all, the history between Victor and Patty runs deep. Patty was responsible for the chain of events that led to Colleen Carlton's death. And in one of the most emotional moments in the show's history, Traci gave Victor a second chance at life by allowing Colleen's heart to be donated to him after Patty shot him. When you think about that history, Victor bringing Patty back into Genoa City could feel like an unbelievable betrayal. So, while Victor might ultimately win the corporate battle and regain control of Newman Enterprises, I keep wondering if the real story is about what he stands to lose in the process. Family loyalty, friendships, and long-standing alliances could all be at risk. And for Victor Newman, a man who has spent decades building his empire and protecting his legacy, losing the people closest to him might be the one consequence he never truly anticipated. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Victor will find a way to hold on to both his power and his family. But the way things are unfolding right now, it really feels like this victory, if it comes, could end up being one of the most isolating moments of Victor Newman's life. I've been looking over the upcoming spoilers for The Young and the Restless from March 9th through March 27th, and honestly, I think this stretch could bring some of the most chaotic twists we've seen in a while. There are kidnappings, dangerous confrontations, and even a shocking return that might shake Genoa City all over again. And the part that really caught my attention is the return of Patty Williams. If you know the show's history, you already understand that Patty showing up rarely means anything good. From what I'm seeing, Phyllis Summers may be forced into a very dangerous negotiation with Victor Newman. Victor apparently wants Billy Abbott to return Chancellor in order to secure Jack Abbott's release, but I'm not convinced that would satisfy Victor in the end. To me, Victor rarely settles for half a victory. He wants total control. Phyllis seems to have leverage because she currently controls both Chancellor and Newman, which gives her some power in this situation. Still, going up against Victor is never simple. I'm wondering if Phyllis may try to use that power to help Lily Winters and her twins get released. But Victor being Victor, I doubt he'll just accept that arrangement quietly. Another major moment might come when Nikki Newman discovers that Victor is responsible for Jack's disappearance. I think this could lead to a very intense confrontation. Nikki has threatened before to leave Victor if he crosses certain lines, and this situation might push her to that breaking point again. Victor has called her bluff in the past, but I keep wondering if this time things might be different. If Nikki truly follows through on that threat, it could create serious consequences for the Newman family dynamic. Now here's the twist that really stands out to me. Patty Williams is coming back to Genoa City, and based on the spoilers, she might actually lure Jack into some kind of trap. If that's true, this could become extremely dangerous because Patty's history with Jack has always been complicated and emotionally unstable. I can't help thinking that her return might trigger old psychological struggles for her. It makes me wonder whether this storyline could end with Patty being sent back to a mental institution again. Sadly, that's often how her storylines conclude. Meanwhile, another dangerous storyline seems to involve Matt Clark. From what I understand, he may be hiding out in Las Vegas. Someone named Sienna Bacall might tip off the Newmans about his location. That could lead Adam Newman and Nick Newman to team up to bring him down. And I'm really curious about this part, because Adam confronting Matt might force him to revisit parts of his past he'd rather leave buried. If that happens, the Vegas storyline could become very intense very quickly. At the same time, Mariah Copeland is heading to court after kidnapping Dominic Winters. This storyline could go in a couple different directions. On one hand, Mariah could end up going to prison for what she did. But Christine Blair Romalotti might push for a mental health evaluation instead, which could result in Mariah being placed in a psychiatric institution rather than a prison sentence. Personally, I think the writers might lean toward the mental health route, especially considering the emotional complexity of Mariah's character. Final thoughts. Looking at all of these storylines together, I feel like Genoa City is about to go through several explosive confrontations at once. Victor's power struggle with Phyllis, Nikki discovering the truth about Jack's kidnapping, Patty Williams' unpredictable return, the Matt Clark manhunt in Vegas, and Mariah's court battle could all collide in unexpected ways. And honestly, I'm still wondering which storyline will end up causing the biggest shock. Patty's return alone could spiral into chaos, but Victor's schemes have a way of triggering ripple effects across the entire canvas. So in my opinion, the next few weeks of The Young and the Restless might be packed with tension, psychological drama, and some very surprising twists. The Young and the Restless, Victor's shocking move leaves Diane desperate. In The Young and the Restless, the conflict between the Newman and Abbott families has reached a level that, honestly, I didn't think it could reach again. But Victor Newman has just made one of the most aggressive moves I can remember in this storyline, and the fallout is about to shake everyone involved. Diane's worst fear is becoming reality. Right now, I think the person most shaken by everything happening is Diane Jenkins Abbott. When she learns that Jack Abbott has been kidnapped, her reaction is pure panic. From Diane's perspective, this goes far beyond business rivalry. She and Jack had already been worried that Victor Newman might try to destroy Jabot Cosmetics using the powerful artificial intelligence system called Arabesque. But kidnapping Jack? That's a completely different level of war. And honestly, I was wondering if Diane always feared something like this could happen. Victor has crossed lines before, but this move feels especially personal. Kane's grand plan completely collapses. Meanwhile, Kane Ashby had his own massive plan unfolding in Genoa City. With guidance from his father, Colin Atkinson, Kane wanted to take control of several legacy companies, including the ultimate prize, Newman Enterprises. But things started spiraling the moment Phyllis Summers got her hands on the AI technology. To me, this is where the whole game changed. Kane thought he was assembling a strategic alliance, almost like Abraham Lincoln's famous team of rivals approach. The idea was to put powerful personalities together, let the tension spark innovation, and ultimately build something stronger. For a while, that meant working with Billy Abbott and Phyllis. But if I'm being honest, I was always wondering whether Phyllis was ever truly loyal to Kane. Phyllis turns the tables. At some point, Phyllis completely flipped the script. Instead of helping Kane run Newman Enterprises, she knocked him unconscious and seized control herself. Using the Arabesque AI system, she essentially weaponized technology to outmaneuver everyone else. In classic Phyllis fashion, she didn't just betray Kane, she outplayed him. And I think that's what makes this twist so fascinating. It raises the possibility that Phyllis may have been manipulating Kane from the very beginning. Billy faces an impossible choice. Back at the Abbott family front, the situation becomes even more complicated. Kyle Abbott stands firmly beside his mother Diane as the crisis unfolds. But Billy is dealing with something far worse. He may soon have to make an impossible decision. Victor might demand that Billy hand over Chancellor Industries in exchange for Jack's freedom. And honestly, I'm not sure there's a clean answer here. Saving your brother should be the obvious choice, but surrendering an empire like Chancellor could permanently shift the balance of power in Genoa City. Patty Williams returns to the chaos. As if things weren't complicated enough already, another explosive element has entered the story. Patty Williams has returned after being gone for nearly a decade in real time. Victor once kidnapped Jack years ago and replaced him with a lookalike, Marco Anicelli, a dangerous Peruvian criminal. But bringing Marco back would be difficult now, especially since Victor had him imprisoned and even mutilated to prevent another impersonation. So instead, Victor appears to be using Patty to monitor Jack. And if you know Patty's history, you know that's incredibly dangerous. She was actually married to Jack twice, and even had a look-alike sister, Emily Peterson. The last time viewers saw Patty, she was dressed in religious clothing and working alongside Ian Ward. Her return alone could trigger a whole new level of chaos. Nikki's reaction could change everything. And then there's Nikki Newman. When she discovers that Victor kidnapped Jack, I think her reaction could be explosive. Nikki has already threatened divorce before, but this time the stakes might be far higher. She could demand that Victor release Jack immediately, or risk losing his marriage for good. If that happens, the Newman family itself could start fracturing. A war that's far from over. Looking at everything unfolding, it feels like Genoa City is heading toward one of its biggest power struggles in years. Victor has escalated the war, Phyllis has rewritten the rules with AI, Billy is facing a devastating decision, and Patty Williams is back in the middle of it all. To me, the real question now isn't just whether Jack will escape. It's whether any of these families will survive the fallout once the truth finally comes out.